So, hello, my name is Melody Howe, and I'm a faculty resident here at CAPS. And today we're going to be talking about fostering and maintaining healthy positivity during COVID-19. So, yeah, 2020 has definitely been a rough year. No surprises there. And so just kind of curious, like how have you been impacted by the changes and adjustments? Sometimes this is as simple as, changing your eating or sleeping schedule, and other times it can require needing to move or, changes in relationships. And how do you feel about trying to be positive right now? One thing is we're looking at healthy positivity during this presentation. And so it's not a matter of feeling as though you can't be honest about, the wide spectrum of emotions. We're just going to be looking about like how can, feeling positive feel more authentic and be more helpful for you right now. So one part of, healthy positivity is acknowledging what is within your control and what is not. And so what do you feel like you have control over right now? In terms of this can be simple as like, well, you do have control over who you spend time with and, wearing face coverings when you go to the store, how often you go to the store, and you don't have control how other people are behaving or changes WSU implements. So for example, like things that WSU decides are not really within your control. And how do you feel about accepting what is not within your control? And if you want to share your thoughts around this, feel free to comment in the comment section. And sometimes it can just be useful to ponder these things or jot down notes. So looking at like self-compassion and shifting perspectives. With self-compassion, a lot of times I've had clients, feel as though they can't feel compassion for themselves because they want to continue to improve to, be a more authentic self, or they want to be a person that maybe is, more functioning better or being more productive. But what self-compassion is looking at, yourself in this moment with kindness and offering that kindness to yourself and understanding like, yeah, those a lot of pressures. Those not only feeling demands from different professors who have different expectations as the shift to being online has been made. But there's also kind of that national trauma of going on. We're experiencing a lot of things outside of our control, and that can be really disruptive. And so that idea of taking a moment and taking a deep breath and offering that compassion for what you are able to do. And that doesn't mean that you don't want to do better the next day or, make changes or continue to improve, but it just means for yourself in that moment, you know, accepting what you're capable of doing and accepting that sometimes that's enough. Shifting perspectives can also be a really helpful way of, implementing healthy positivity. And that, oh, yeah, healthy positivity. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So here's some examples of perspective shifts. I'm sure there's definitely been moments that everyone has felt trapped or restricted, or that this thing outside of their control is having a really huge impact on how they want to be and what they'll doing. And so one idea is to shift that perspective to like, hey, I have more time than usual. Like, what could I do now that I may not have time for before? Even that simple thing of you're spending less time walking from class to class and doing all of those things that were required of you when it was in person, and now you don't have to be dressed for 30-degree weather before you get to class. You can you know put on some clean clothes and be ready to go, and not worry what the weather's doing outside to attend class. Again, feeling disconnected from friends because whether they decided not to return to Pullman, or you didn't decide to return to Pullman, or just unable to spend quality time together. This is a time where it's like, okay, let's be creative. How do I feel that connection with my friends in different ways? Um, do I feel connected to them if we just have a meme conversation back and forth, or can we play different online games together? And sometimes that creativity can be stressful, and other times it can be kind of fun, and using experimenting with different things can be useful. Definitely the idea of being scaled. Those are a lot of unknowns moving forward, and that is really stressful and really scary. Depending on different aspects of your identity, it can feel very, visceral, and very, very threatening, depending on what's causing you concern. And so allowing space for that, and allowing yourself that's pretty valid right now. And in one way that may help you feel more connected to different friends or family members who are sharing similar experiences, but also that reminder that that's one emotion that you're experiencing right now, and those are wide spectrum of different emotions that you can be experiencing as well. So, in terms of perspective shift, what are some challenges that either you guys have in shifting your perspective, or maybe a perspective shift that you have done successfully? And I can wait a minute or two so you have time to type that if you're interested in sharing.
Melody, while some of the students are typing, I know something I've heard a lot that folks, a student commented, so I'll go ahead and jump to that. They said, everything is harder, school, communication, etc. It's hard to feel like everything is possible for me. I don't know how to productively handle feeling overwhelmed.
And that's a really good time to practice that self-compassion. One thing that I've grown accustomed to saying is, you're overwhelmed because things are overwhelming, and sometimes there isn't an easy fix for that. And that is okay. That doesn't mean that you're not doing the best you can. In terms of breaking things down, and feeling small successes as you're moving through things, I think can be really helpful. And if you're finding that it's just like overall too much, CAPS does have like workshops, and we are available in terms of like problem solving around some of these things. If you feel like it's really focused on your academics, where you're overwhelmed and you feel like you have the tools, it's just asking a bit too much, I encourage you talking to your advisor, and feeling as though um there may be options that you haven't considered yet, and not feeling terribly confined, and that this is the only experience that you can have. But I really appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I know that's a fairly common, and it's hard when there isn't an easy answer. All right. If there's not another comment, I'll move forward. So again, perspective shifting is not a cure. Like that comment said, like I'm overwhelmed, and yeah, it's an overwhelming experience, and shifting that experience is not going to remove aspects of why you are overwhelmed. Um, but I do like the idea of instead of looking at social distancing as bullying, phrasing as I'm exiled for the good of the realm. It sounds much more interesting, and you're the one in control of who you interact with, and what you decide to do. So we're going to have a poll here in terms of positive changes that you have noticed. As better or sleep, more sleep, authentic conversations, comfortable clothes, introspection, collective compassion in terms of not just um, self-compassion, but collective as well, and slowing down. What else? Yeah, so it looks like more. I'm glad to see that people are experiencing more authentic conversations. I think connection is really important, especially in times of um, as divisive views come to light and that kind of thing. It can be um, all the more important to have those authentic conversations. Comfortable clothes. Yep, definitely with you on that. And opportunity for introspection and collective compassion. Feel free to comment if maybe something that has stood out to you in terms of positive change isn't listed there.
I know for me, I love not having to scrape ice off my car in the morning.
Or having to put the time aside to scrape ice off your car in the morning is also part of it too. Yeah. Yeah, winter definitely hit, and then it kind of vanished, and I know it's going to come back, but definitely a time to notice when all typical winter habits aren't necessarily in play.
Students shared more opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing. So, in line with healthy positivity, I also wanted to talk a little bit about mindfulness. How it can help is instead of, worrying about the past or worrying about the future, mindfulness is about being in the moment. And so, kind of taking that time out. I've also described it as a way of hitting pause on, when you have those ruminating thoughts, or when you feel as though your emotions are like kind of spinning out of control, and it's a lot to manage, being mindful for even just like a minute or two, or a couple breaths, or hopefully for like maybe 15 minutes, it can be really beneficial. How do I do it? This is an incredibly common question. And though are a lot of options, those, breathing exercises where you just have, you know, um, maybe being mindful for full breaths, those mindful eating, those mindful walking, those guided meditations. It's really about finding something that is consistent with you and ways of you getting that need met. When do I do it? I definitely recommend, practicing mindfulness in those moments of feeling overwhelmed, or feeling really distracted, or that you're really stuck in this kind of like ruminations about the future, ruminations about the past, and that those can be the most beneficial times. But even if you're noticing that you're having trouble falling asleep, or you're having trouble like shifting from like school mode to friend mode, mindfulness can be helpful for that as well. So now we're going to look at what is mindfulness. So it's the focus on the present moment. And this is especially crucial. It's using non judgment. And a lot of times, clients have this idea that to be mindful means that you have to sit with your breath for 5 minutes and not have a single other thought coming into your mind. And that's a lot of that's really high expectations of yourself. And it's really hard to be non-judgmental if you're like noticing that you have a random thought, or that you get distracted when your expectation is that you won't do those things. And so non-judgment is about, maybe you're sitting with your breath and you have a random thought, a random stressor comes to mind, a assignment that you don't want to do pops in your head. And mindfulness is about acknowledging that and saying okay, and then going back to your breath. I think it would be a very high expectation for anyone to feel as though they can sit for 5 minutes without thinking about what they need to do at some point in that day. And so it's more about returning to that present moment than it is in staying as long as possible in that present moment. Acceptance of things as they are. Like, yeah, you're overwhelmed. Yes, you're stressed. But if those things aren't happening in the present moment, you're breathing, you're sitting, and you will just, with your body. A non-attachment, meaning that, this goes hand in hand with the non-judgment, where, you're not overly attached to those stressors. You're not overly attached to maybe the ideal outcome of this mindful practice. You're just there and you're with it, and not feeling as though if you don't do things right, then you're doing mindfulness wrong. It's more about acknowledging things and letting them go, and then returning to that moment. So here's some helpful mindfulness resources. Headspace, Calm, and Insight Timer are all different apps. And then there's also a number of websites available as well. Um, YouTube has guided meditation or guided mindfulness. I think it is really beneficial to, you know, experience mindfulness in your guided meditations in your native language. So if English isn't your native language, by all means, tell that to YouTube, and I'm sure there will be something that will hopefully resonate for you in that way. I know one meditation that's particularly helpful is called Leaves on a Stream, and it the guide is really about acknowledging how thoughts come into your head and being able to watch them go just as leaves on a stream. If you're having trouble with sleeping, or if you're having trouble feeling calm, oh, sorry about that. You can definitely help all of those things. Just let YouTube know, and you'll hopefully find something that resonates with you. Um, Here's a list of all additional resources. And also, I do want you guys to know that at 3:30 today, there's going to be a special outreach on election stress. So that's 3:30 today. Um, we are providing services via Zoom. We are not providing in-person services at this time. And just give us a call. The phone number is 509-335-4511. And we do have after hours crises appointments at 509-335-2159. And yeah, so we do have a mindfulness group that recently got started, but if you're interested in learning more about mindfulness, please give us a call during our business hours and see if you can be added to that list. And I will also be doing additional groups next semester as well. So if there's a group you're interested that has already gotten underway, know that next semester will offer that more groups as well. So we do have a couple minutes left over, so please let me know if you have any questions.